Hello, everyone. Eric cannot attend today, so he's asked me to lead the meeting. So the first thing is the call to order. Let me call the meeting to order, and I will call the roll. We have Tim Walzak, we have Susan Messina, David Bush, Bill Rice, Maria Capriola, Tom Taberski, Tom Fitzgerald, Tom Hazel, Mike Glidden, and all right, so I think I've got everybody. All right, good. So the first item is public audience.
We didn't receive any.
So the approval of minutes for September 2nd. Did anyone see any additions or changes that they'd like to make to the meeting? Okay. And we could probably do them together. The October 7th. Do we have any changes to that? Changes or additions? All right. Hearing none, I'd like a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
Motion made.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, seconded by Bill Rice.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, any abstentions? Okay, so the third item of business is the 2021 meeting schedule for the first Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Does anyone have any, see any problems with the meeting agenda as proposed? All right, I guess we need a motion to accept.
Yeah, I'll move to accept the proposed schedule as submitted.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then we have updates. We have the status of the potential Meadowwood acquisition. We will be doing that.
Sure, I could jump in with a quick update, and then if Mike or Tom would like to add to that. So we are still putting together some additional information that Board of Finance members have requested from us. We're also working on some follow-up requests in regards to the appraisal that was conducted, as well as some additional appraisal work that the Board of Finance was interested in. And the other item that we've been working on is really getting a good handle on the status of the barns on the property, the current condition, the current shoring up that would be needed for some of them versus any barns that may be beyond disrepair, as well as a lot of grant opportunities that are available to us for the restoration of the barns, which is really quite wonderful. And we've also had some private foundations, I believe, and donors who are interested as well. So those are the main items that we're working on at the moment for Meadowwood. And then I believe I was able to circulate the updated cost per acre analysis. We're really glad that Susan mentioned the donations that helped contribute to the Ethel Walker purchase. So we were able to add that information and update that document. Again, I believe I circulated it to this group, but if for some reason I've forgotten to do that, just let me know and I'll make sure to send that around.
Maria, quick question. Literally drove by the barn about 10 minutes ago. And if you're looking from the road, the one on the far left seems to, with the wind we've had recently, is really listing. Do we have any ability to shore those up? You know, we don't own the property right now. Is there any way that we can intervene if one of those looks like it's going to start going down and then frankly run into the one to the right of it?
Yeah, I'd have to defer to Mike on that, just in terms of what Henry may or may be able to do within his purview as the building official, or what we may, just working, with TPL, might be able to ask of the property owner.
Is this are these the barns that are up on Firetown Road?
On Hoskins.
On Hoskins?
And that one on the far left has been listing. I drive by it twice a day, every day, and it's
so.
For a while.
Yeah, that was one that actually, when Henry did his walkthrough, he told everyone to not walk into that building. It's an unsafe structure. So yeah, Henry can probably intervene on this and say either you got to secure it or you got to remove it, because it's a safety hazard.
Yep. Okay.
So I'll pass that word on to Henry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Anything more on Meadowwood?
Not that I can think of, unless the rest of the team has anything they want to add.
All right. Well, then we'll move on to the status of the disposition on the Holcomb Street parcel.
Sure, I'll start with that one as well. We are still negotiating with the property owner of the Oldwell property in regards to the easement, as well as the potential Holcomb disposition. Our town attorney is optimistic that we will be able to reach a tentative agreement, hopefully presenting to the Board of Selectmen for their upcoming meeting on November 9th. That, if possible, we would try and include that in the packet by Thursday or Friday of this week if we were to move forward with that at the next meeting. Worst case scenario, it may carry forward to the second meeting. And then, of course, once we put it in the packet, at that point, it will be public information. So what we're currently working on, it's still technically we're negotiating, it's confidential, but as soon as we have all that information in the public packet, all of that information becomes public.
Any comments, discussion? All right, thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
right, so we'll move on to policy work group update, the natural stewardship policy. Susan, do you want to do that?
Yes, hello. So this is pretty much ready to go. We were just trying to nail down the exact location or name of other properties. And I think it was one of the Toms that sent out a document earlier today, which had kind of identified those properties on the map. Tom Hazel, was it you? Yes, that Tom.
Yes, that was me.
Okay. So that was very helpful because one of them is called the Gersten property, I guess, and I didn't know about the name of that one. So anyway, these are just the couple of other, heavily wooded areas that we're not really doing any management on that we just wanted to add to the list that's on the overarching policy document. And I did have one edit to the policy document itself. Let me see, I don't have it in front of me, but I know at one spot it did say natural area services. So under point C, maintaining ecological integrity. If invasive species are identified to be removed by a practitioner familiar with natural area services, that should be natural area stewardship. So that was the one edit that I had to the document. And it doesn't explicitly say this, but I just, wanted people to know that this doesn't prevent, if we want trails or, it doesn't ban anything. It's just trying to set up kind of a strategy for how we're taking care of different pieces of land. And Marjorie and I were part of a subgroup meeting. We're also trying to work on, when would we be mowing our grasslands and taking care of other types of land. So we're kind of on this kind of logical progression of how we would kind of differentiate our different types of open space and best take care of them. So we'll have kind of like a toolbox of management options, basically.
Do you want to talk about the model agricultural lease and RFP? We started to discuss that at the last
Can I
meeting.
just
Oh,
check?
real quick, Marjorie, before we go on to the next item,
Yeah.
I just had a couple of things on the natural stewardship policy.
Yeah.
So I do think at this point, the natural stewardship policy is in very good shape. I think you all have just done an amazing job on that. And I think that we could advance that to the Board of Selectmen for final and formal consideration if you all feel ready to do that. And then one piece I thought that would be helpful is just to quickly screen share the document that Mike Lidd and Tom Hazel have put together for us with the maps and the locations. So what we could do is essentially just, if folks feel comfortable with the 3 identified additional parcels, in addition to the 4 that were originally mentioned, is we can go ahead and just update that draft document for the purposes of the Board of Selectmen packet. But I think if you all have consensus on the policy, as well as what would now in total be, I believe, 7 identified locations. Again, whether it's by consensus or formal motion, I'd love for us to be able to, to move that forward to the board. So we'll go ahead and screen share that document. Tom, could you give either myself or Tom Hazel permission to screen share?
It will be difficult for me to screen share considering my computer technologies at home right now. So if someone else could screen share that, it'd be helpful.
I will do my best to pull that up, Tom, if you
you.
could give me the permission, and then I will just be a moment.
You should be all set.
And while that's going, my only question was, I see the identifier of Ethel Walker Woods. I just want to make sure in the 5 parcels identified in this that I covered that parcel because I didn't notice it as a terminology used when I made the map. So just please clarify that I covered all the properties that you want to cover.
Yeah. I didn't see Belden on there either when I scanned through it quickly, but I just went through it very quickly, so I'm not sure about,
I don't think I saw that one either.
yeah.
I'm still trying to learn where all these are, so bear with my
Yeah.
ignorance due to my greenness.
Can you share it? Because I can't, I have it if you want me to share it. Oh, you're on mute.
I believe that the the four properties that the committee had originally identified were Belden, Onion Mountain, Ethel Walker, and our parcel, I believe, near Stratton Brook. And then there were 3 additional parcels that the work group had identified, and I believe we're recommending. Oops, sorry. So there's this one here.
I'm actually not familiar with that parcel. But you're saying that, is anyone on the call familiar with it?
I myself, what roads are there?
No, I agree. So I'm just trying to get my bearings here. I see it's referenced to by Talca Mountain State Park, but no, I'm not familiar with it either.
So
Was it near Tower
it's-
Ridge Golf
it's-
Course? Is that the golf course there?
it's actually, if you, Stafford Road off 185, right on the line with Bloomfield. It's on the southern side of 185 if you're driving into Bloomfield. It's a residential subdivision. It ends at a cul-de-sac. This parcel, you can walk to it. You can't access it by your car. The CLMP right-of-way goes through there. But it is basically the ridge. Just Maria, if you scroll down just a hair, you can see the tower right at the bottom middle, just directly to the right of Tower Ridge. That's actually Hoopline Tower.
Oh,
So we own that parcel, 23 acres. It's up there. We're not maintaining it. It's, like I said, limited access, and it's surrounded by state property or MDC property, because there's a few properties that are owned by MDC up there.
And I
I mean,
tried
that
to
makes
put,
sense.
in trying to put a name to it, I looked at the parcel to the north, that little sliver, and then the block above that to the north. And the block above, we own all 3 of those, and the block to the north did have the name Sponzo property to it. So if we wanted to put a name to it, or we could go with Stafford Road, I just wanted to give options on that.
And then Marjorie, do you want me just to kind of keep scrolling unless folks have additional questions, or would you like to sort of get a yay or nay on each one as we go?
Let's scroll through.
Okay.
This is the parcel to the north that had the Sponzo name, just for reference.
Yeah, this is the property that I was thinking of, the Gersten property, when it came up before. This is the one that I was aware of. But I think we're not doing anything there at all, right?
We are not.
That's correct, because there's actually conservation easements that DEP has on that property,
Okay.
which we ran into with the water when the Terriffill Fire District replaced the water tower. They had to modify the easement area.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, so that weird shape is Onion Mountain, but it's actually the whole, it's hard to tell from this, but this is the ridge on the other side of town, bordering up to the ridge and bordering up to Canton Land Trust land. Yeah, so that's good. This one I was aware of too. This is the one that's kind of down that gully next to the road near the high school.
Are
Yeah,
there any, are there any
Stratton Brook
trails
State
around
Park
it?
is right on the left of this.
Yeah.
Are there any trails at all in that area?
I don't think there's any trails in there.
Yeah, okay.
It's really kind of like a deep gully that goes down. Maybe there might be some trails in Stratton Brook that kind of wind in there, but I'm not sure.
You should, there's land trust property on the, I think that gully side. There's a gully, I'm trying to figure out which way. I think on the northern side, there's some land trust property there. And so is this property is on the, towards the Stratton Brook side.
Yes.
Yeah. So the gully's on the other side. So it's nice. It's adjacent to a small portion that was given to the land trust. I think. Right.
Yeah, this is another ridge property, if you're not familiar with it, that has a town-owned house on it.
So the road on the right-hand side of that property is West Mountain Road, if you're trying to figure out exactly where it is.
Yeah.
Just quickly too on this, the Sugarloaf cut, since there is a home on that particular lot, I'm assuming, general maintenance, obviously right near the house where they might have, lawn space or something of that nature, we would obviously, need to maintain as the property owner, but not the wooded part. So perhaps when we, if in fact we move forward with referencing this, we could just make some note about, maybe something except for routine maintenance associated with, the yard around the home or something
the
like
building
that.
envelope or whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or do you think maybe it makes sense to put like a fence or some kind of physical delineation there so that here's the part freedom, here's the you can't cross.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, that could work.
Could we just spray paint a line on the grass?
As long as you maintain it.
Sorry, Tom, I can't get CL&P to pay for this one.
Okay, I think that was it.
All right. So Onion Mountain's in there.
Right.
There's this, but we don't have Belden.
Belden and Ethel Walker will need to add.
Yeah.
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 I'll look that up and attach it and amend it and give it out again tomorrow.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Excellent. And just another specific thing about the Ethel Walker Woods, of course, the whole front, is the horse fields. I don't know if you're familiar with it, Tom, but then there's also another area in it that was is from a donor and is kind of, I think it's about a 10-acre piece that was supposed to be a meadow that's been growing up. And I felt like that should be another kind of set aside if that wanted to be maintained with that donor intent. Nobody's really been doing anything, but the intent of this is not to ban anything or prevent what had been a donor intent or anything like that. So I just wanted to, specify that little piece. I could note about that, or I don't know what would be helpful to kind of.
As I did with the Stafford piece, I'll try to include it with the description as kind of a separate unit, and that way.
Okay,
it's in
yeah.
both places. I'll try to find them. I mean, if I can't, Mike will help me, or I'll reach out for questions on where it might be located near. So
Yeah,
but
be
if you
kind of
help
like
me
a set aside, I guess is what they call it. The same thing with like the Sugarloaf cut, like set aside for the house and yard kind of thing.
Okay.
All right. So, does anyone have any changes, additions, edits they want to make to that, or are we good to go with the natural stewardship policy to submit to the Board of Selectmen?
Well, then I'd make a motion that we submit the parcels as amended, adding Belden and Ethel Walker Woods to be subject to the natural stewardship policy. Is that language all right, Maria?
That works for me.
All right, do we have a second? Susan, all right, and all in favor?
Aye.
And Tim there, I don't know, okay. All right, so now we'll move on to the model agricultural lease. Tom, you at our last subcommittee meeting, you were saying that you were going to, your plan was to come up with some sort of or we might do this in the subcommittee meeting, at the next one, come up with the lease, model lease for the farms. So do we want to present anything today, or do we want to keep that for the next subcommittee meeting?
I think she's talking to Tom Hazel, but
Tom, yes, Tom.
Okay.
Sorry, yes,
Too
sir.
many Toms, yeah.
How do you manage? So Tom, I know at the last subcommittee we were looking over some things about longer term leases, maybe a 5-year rolling lease for the farms, and looking and Susan was saying that we need to keep a very simple application form, and we were also looking at who would be the ones to review the farm leases, proposing that perhaps the open space committee would be the one to do that. And Tom, I think for the next meeting, you were going to come, the subcommittee meeting, you were going to show us a simplified form for the lease, for the farm application lease. I think that's where we were with that one. Does anyone have anything else to add to that? I think we'll bring it forward to the full committee after the next subcommittee meeting. Is that about right? Where we are?
Yeah, I think so. And, something I had shared, Susan and I had a nice chat today, and I've shared with staff, is that we do have a farmer who just very recently indicated to us that they don't intend to renew their lease that expires in January. And that's for a parcel currently being farmed near the triangle. And so it's definitely something, I think that this gives us a really good opportunity to establish a good model RFP. And then also a good model lease. And so in terms of the most pressing of the matters, I would say, getting a good model RFP into shape would be very helpful. So we can go ahead and get that issued and kind of work through that process. And then of course, once we have a selected farmer, we'll be able to move forward with the new model lease. So again, it's a really, I think, great opportunity for us to work on these items. I know it's something we've been talking about for a bit. I'm personally very excited about this work and just look forward to us being able to move forward and set sort of this new standard for moving forward.
Right. So that would certainly be job one for the next subcommittee.
Definitely.
Right.
And Marjorie, based on also our subcommittee meeting, I also offered the two of us to kind of pull this together a little bit, because you had that appendix kind of stuff we could attach to it.
We've been working on it, so we'll after the meeting we'll chat and find a date. We'll get this out and then we'll have it together. All right, and then so anything more on that? All right, pollinator pathway program, possible grants. I don't have anything to report. Susan, you've been saying about the Connecticut sustainability grant, but I don't think we've done anything on that at this point.
I want to, that might be a separate item. I don't have my agenda open right now, but the sustainability grant that I want to do is for the little ecology trail that I've been talking to Tooten Hills about. It'll be a little thing. It's not going to be much. It's going to be mostly an info board. And then, the station, most of the information would be online. But my students are so excited about this, and they've been working on these little stations and everything. So we might be calling Roaring Brook with advice on, kind of a nice construction of an info board.
All right.
One of the things I'm really excited about is the push button option on the board. So there's been recordings of brown bats out there. So we have the brown bat thing. And then I don't know if I told you that we record a few years ago, this has been years in the making. We put recording equipment out overnight in the woods to hear the dawn song when the birds wake up. So it'll be like a great little push button. They'll be able to hear all the birds that, when they wake up in the morning, because
Yeah.
I'm always singing when you're out there. So.
All right. So we'll work on that and get back to the committee on that. And then acquisition criteria. I think we actually worked on the acquisition criteria. So I think that is ready to go. These were bullet points that we had for acquisition of open space. And I think at the last subcommittee, we decided that was ready to go also to the Board of Selectmen.
I think we wanted to pass it by this commission because yeah.
I'm getting forgetful in my old age here.
Yeah, because we had it out in January for this commission, and we said, oh, does anyone have any feedback, et cetera. We did have a couple of meetings about it, but then it kind of slid off the deck. And I think it'd be good to just bring it back.
Okay.
See if anybody has any feedback, and then we can move that off to the Board of Selectmen.
All right. So that would be at the next meeting.
Yeah, that's my feeling, right?
So that will need to be included in the next packet for review at the next. So that would be next month.
Yeah.
All right.
My only question is, do we want to put one of these before the Board of Selectmen every month, or do we want to just wait and get a few and just put them all out there? I don't know which one's better. Should they see the whole picture, or should we just keep on just sending things over? I don't know. I don't know if it matters, but I brought this up last time.
Maria, what do you think?
Yeah, I think if we just, keep making progress on the policies as you guys are ready. So for example, the model RFP and the model lease, the model RFP is something at a staff level that I would be able to approve. So we'll be able to move, a little more expeditiously on that.
Okay.
And then the policy items, the board does normally meet 2 times a month. In December, because of the holiday season, they're doing a reduced meeting schedule. So they are only meeting 1 time in the middle of December. So just depending on timing of the work, there is about a 4-week gap in their meeting schedule between the middle of December and middle of January. But in terms of the acquisition, criteria, if we're ready to present, say for the middle of December, if you guys review that at your meeting in early December and you're ready to forward that on, we could definitely get that on the agenda for their meeting in the middle of December.
Okay. And I have the agenda item of other. Is there any other thing, anything else we should discuss? Don't hear any. So that moves us on to adjournment. Who would like to make a motion to adjourn?